So hello guys, welcome to the video. So in this video we will solve the question merge intervals. Alright, so firstly I will explain you the question and then we will head towards the solution. Alright, so the question is, we will be provided with n intervals. Alright, so we are given some intervals and interval is defined as SP, EP, and SP means starting point, EP means ending point. Alright, so we are provided with some intervals, and inside intervals we are given a starting point and ending point. Alright, intervals may or may not overlap each other. Alright, so intervals may or may not overlap each other. That means some of the intervals may overlap each other and some of the intervals may not overlap each other. Alright, task is to merge all overlapping intervals. Alright, so the task is to merge all the intervals which are overlapping and then return it. Alright, so let's head towards the board and I will explain you further. So I've taken an example, and by this example only I'll explain you the question. So the question is, when we are given some input as the intervals, so this 1 is the starting point and this 3 is the ending point. Alright, so I will take it inside array. I have created this array, so I will put it inside this array. So I'll write 1 3 2 4 6 8 10, 14 7, 9. That means this side is of starting points and this side is of ending points. Alright, I hope you understood this. So what we have to do now, we have to just create a timeline. Alright, so let me create a timeline so that it will be easier for me to explain you guys. So I'll create a timeline. Let's say 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. Alright, so we need it till 14 only. So I'll make some intervals. Firstly I will write value 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. Alright, so what we will do now, we are given an interval from 1 to 3. So I'll create an interval starting from 1 till 3. Alright, so this is the interval. Now I have given a second interval 2 and 4. So 2 is the starting point and 4 is the ending point. Alright, now the another interval is 6, 8. So I'll start from 6 and end at 8. Alright, so this is the input from user. Alright, now we are given another interval as 10, 14. So I will create 10, 14 and another interval 7, 9. 7, 9. Alright, and what we have to give, we have to get output as the merge overlapping intervals. So we have to merge overlapping intervals. So the overlapping intervals are 1, 3 and 2, 4. So what I will do, I'll check every time that the starting point of the interval is smaller. If it is smaller than the ending point of the another interval. If my starting point of the interval, that means this point, is smaller than the ending point of this interval, that means it will get merged because it is overlapping. Alright, and till when it will work, till when, what is the last point? So how will we discover the last point to merge it? So we will check that the ending points of these two intervals in between, we will check between the two ending point of the two intervals. Whichever is the greater one, we will traverse it to there. So the starting point will remain same from 1, but the ending point will be 3 is greater than 4. So the ending point will be at 4 only. So this is our one interval. So let me write the answer here, 1, 4. Alright. Now again, second thing. Now I will come here and see 6, 8 and I'll see that the starting point of the second interval is smaller than the ending point of this interval. So what I will do, I will merge them and the ending point will be the maximum of the ending points of both intervals. So starting point will remain same, but the 8 is smaller than 9, so the ending point will be at 9 only. Alright, now I'll see for 10, 14, and for this I have no intervals left, so I'll create this 10, 14 alone, and this interval was 6, 9, and it was 10, 14. So these are my three answers. Can we recheck them? Yes, we can recheck them with this output. So this output is 1, 4, 6, 9, 10, 14. So yes, I achieved this output. Alright, I hope you understood it till now. So the question, I explained you question and you understood it. Alright, so this is the output and what we are getting inside the input. Alright, I hope you are understanding it. So what should be the first step? If I sort this array, alright, if I sort this array on the basis of the starting point, alright, if I sort this on the basis of the starting point, what will it give to me? So let me sort this out. 1, 2, 6 is sorted only. So I should delete this and write 7, 9 and 10, 14 here. So now this array is sorted. And why we sorted this? Because here for explanation I can create a timeline. Alright, but when I will write the code, I can't create a timeline there. Alright, so for code it will just check that if I will store my this interval, so I will check that this interval's last value is, if it is greater than the another interval's first value, then overlapping is required. Alright, so that's why we arranged it in ascending order. But why only with the reference of starting points? We sorted it by the reference of starting point only, because the reason is if I sort it by the reference of starting point, then only all the indexes or all the intervals will be in the ascending manner, and we can merge them finally. Alright, so I will explain you it again, and this time I will do the dry run of this question, and during the dry run I will tell you the approach. Now I will tell you the approach and I will dry run it out. Alright, so what we have to create first? We have to create a 2D vector, and inside this 2D vector, this is a 2D vector, inside this 2D vector I have to store all the intervals that are created here. Alright, and then I have to return this 2D vector to the main function. Alright, I hope you understood till now. So I will create a small 2D vector somewhere, and then I will just dry run this question so that it will be more easier for you. So I'll create a 2D vector here only. So this is my 2D vector now, and inside this, firstly I will come its name is result, let's say. Alright, and let me delete this question. Alright, so now what can we do? We'll see that this result vector is empty or not. Alright, and if it is empty, so what we will do? We will push our first interval inside it. Alright, so what I will do? I will push my first interval inside it. Alright, I hope you understood it. Why we pushed? Because I have to push something, that then only I can compare another interval with it. So I have pushed my first interval inside it, and I will create it here also. Alright, now another interval. Now I am here. Now my interval is this. Alright, now what I will do, I'll just come on this interval and I will check my starting point. That means if I will name this interval as interval, let's say, So I will check my interval 0, this value, with this value, with my previous value, or let me say previous intervals 1 position, that means this position. So I have to check that if this is smaller, so if this is smaller than my previous intervals 1, that means overlapping is mandatory or overlapping is required here. Alright, so when overlapping is required, I will update the last value. I will not update the first value, I will only update the last value of the already kept inside vector of the interval, of the first interval. So how will I now update the last value? I'll check between intervals 1 position and previous intervals 1 position. Alright, and I'll write max function, and whichever is greater than, I will keep it here. So I will check between 4 and 3. So 4 is greater, so I'll keep my 4 here. Alright, I hope you understood why I kept 4 here, because between 3 and 4, 4 is greater one. Alright, now it's done. Now I will move forward. I'll go forward and I'll see that there is 6 and 8. So what I will do, I will check this starting point. I'll check the starting point interval 0 with previous intervals 1 position, so this position. So I'll check that if 6 is smaller than 4, so no, 6 is not smaller than 4, so I will take it inside another vector. Alright, so this is one place. Now another is, if 6 is smaller, not smaller than 4, then I will push this inside my vector. Alright, if I will push this inside, that means I will go forwards here. Now I will check intervals 0 value with previous intervals 1 value. That means it is smaller than this value, 7 is smaller than 8. That means overlapping will occur, and overlapping will occur from starting from 6 till whichever is greater than 8, greater from than 8 and 9. Alright, so 9 is greater, so what I will do, I will delete the 1th position and input here as 9. Alright, now it's done, so I will delete this arrow. Now I will move forward here. Alright, whenever I will move forward, I'll see that, let me delete this timeline only, because this timeline is creating confusion. Whenever I will get forward, I will check that interval 0 position and previous intervals 1 position. Is interval 0 position is smaller than previous interval 1 position? No, because 10 is greater than 9. So what will I do? I will input myself inside the new vector. Alright, I will input myself, then I will if I will input myself and I will see there is no element no intervals left in front, so this is my resultant answer, this is my final answer. Alright, so this is my final answer which we found out. So this was the technique by which we will find out the answer. Alright, so I hope you understood this. So I have to tell you one more thing. There are 3 types of cases in this question. One is, let me create a interval. So let me take it 1 and 6. So this is an interval of 1 from 1 to 6, and another interval is 6 to, let's say, 10. So this interval will not merge because these are not called overlapping interval. These are different interval, and no overlapping will occur in this type of question. Alright, no overlapping will occur. So what I will do now, I will make this smaller so that I have now space. Now I will tell you the second case. The second case should be whenever I will be given an interval, let's say 1 to 6, and another interval is starting from between of the first interval, and let's say 4 to 8. So this type of interval will overlap, and this type of interval is called partial overlapping. Alright, so this type of interval is called partial overlapping. Alright, I'll make this also smaller. Now the third case. So the third case is if I have a interval from 1 to let's say 10, and another interval is occurring between this only, let's say 3 to 6. Alright, so this type of interval is called complete overlapping, and only these three cases will be formed inside this question. So you have to be careful and you have to be prepared to see these three test cases inside the question, or these three cases inside the test cases. Alright, so I hope you understood these three test cases, and we have to tackle these three cases only. One is no overlapping, one is partial overlapping, one is complete overlapping. Alright, so let's get to the code and code this question out. So we'll go to the Nados and code this out. So what we'll do, firstly we will sort our vector which is passed to us. So I will write sorting function starting from intervals dot begin and ending at intervals dot end. So this is how we sorted our function, sorted our vector, 2D vector, and we have to pass also 2D vector. So if we have to pass 2D vector, we have to also create 2D vector. So let me create 2D vector and the name will be result. Alright, after this what will happen, I have to take intervals from our intervals. Alright, so I have to go and take this interval out, this interval outside, and work on this, then this interval, then work on this, then this interval, then work on this. Alright, so I have to do this part. So I'll go and write a for each loop inside which every interval is accessed by a vector. Alright, and then that vector will be stored inside the resultant 2D vector, this vector. Alright, so I'll keep a for loop, and then inside this for loop I will come and check that if my vector, this vector 2D vector, alright, remember what I said you, if this 2D vector was empty, what I did, I inserted my first element of my intervals. So I will check that if my result size is 0, so what I will do, I will push my interval inside my result. Alright, so very simple till now. Now I need your full concentration here, because in else condition there is something happening. If this condition does not work, this condition, that means there is something inside this 2D vector, and what I have to do, I will create a vector which is previous interval. Alright, and because I have current interval with me, which is moving with for each loop, so I have to create a previous interval in which I will store the value which is inside my vector till now. So it will be at the last position. Alright, so the last position or the last interval is now inside my previous interval. Alright, now I will check that. Remember what condition I wrote here? This condition, I will write the same condition there, that if my interval 0 position is greater than previous interval 1 position. Alright, if my interval 0th position is greater than previous, or let me write this smaller than. Alright, if it is smaller than that, it will work something. If it was greater than, then we just have to push an element. If it is smaller than, then what we will do, I will just get the last value which was kept inside my 2D vector, and at that vector at 1th position I will get the value which will be at the last index of my interval, of my merged interval. So at the last index, what will I check? I'll check between my interval 1 comma previous interval 1. Alright, so I will check between both the last 1th positions, whichever is greater, I will take this inside my final vector and edit this. Alright, and edit this. So this means this means resultant dot size minus 1. It means this only, and at this 1, at this there is 0 and 1. So at 1 I have to change the value. Alright, so I hope you understood this, what I am trying to say. And if this condition did not work, then simply I will push my interval inside. So when this condition worked, this else condition will, when it will work, when I will get 10 comma 14. Alright, so I will simply push it inside, and no element is smaller than 10 comma 14, greater than 10 comma 14, so there is no overlapping. Alright, so the code is done now, and at last we have to return our 2D vector. So I'll write return res, this is named here. Alright, so let me first run this code and see if it works or not. So yes, it is successfully compiled. So I'll submit it and see all the test cases are passed or not. Alright, so all test cases are passed. So I hope you liked the video and you understood the video. If you liked the video, please do subscribe our YouTube channel and please share it with your friends, and we will meet in the next video. Till then, thank you so much.